Golden Age Gossip presents a hidden story behind one of comedy's most unforgettable legends, a man whose rubber-face expressions and razor-sharp timing made audiences howl with laughter for decades. To millions of fans, Buddy Hackett looked like pure chaos wrapped in charm. Every appearance felt unpredictable, like a firecracker tossed into a velvet theater curtain. But behind the jokes, behind the cigar smoke and late-night applause, stood a performer who understood Hollywood better than almost anyone around him. And according to Buddy himself, one of the biggest mysteries in entertainment was a man sitting behind the famous Tonight Show desk, Johnny Carson. Before he became the legendary Buddy Hackett, he was Leonard Hacker, a kid growing up in Brooklyn's Borough Park neighborhood during tough times. His father worked upholstering furniture, while his mother labored in the garment industry. Life dealt Leonard a cruel hand early, when Bell's palsy left him with facial paralysis and a slurred way of speaking. But instead of hiding from it, he transformed those traits into comedy gold. Even as a teenager balancing football and drama club, Leonard had a magnetic energy that pulled people toward him. During summers in the Catskills, he worked as a tumbler, the energetic entertainer hired to keep hotel guests laughing nonstop. Those noisy resort stages became his comedy laboratory. His first performance was a disaster. Not a single laugh. But failure only sharpened him. After serving 3 years in the United States Army during World War II, Leonard returned home determined to reinvent himself. At a Brooklyn nightclub called the Pink Elephant, he dropped his birth name forever and officially became Buddy Hackett. That new identity changed everything. Soon, Buddy's explosive nightclub routines were landing him gigs in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Broadway productions. Hollywood quickly noticed his strange brilliance. In 1952, Buddy even received an offer that sounded unbelievable. Columbia Pictures reportedly wanted him to join the Three Stooges after Curly Howard's death. Buddy later confirmed the story himself during an appearance with Johnny Carson. But Buddy turned the role down. He believed his comedy style belonged on its own path, not inside somebody else's shadow. That gamble paid off beautifully. By the late 1950s and 1960s, Buddy Hackett had become one of television's most beloved comedy guests. He appeared constantly on major variety shows and game shows, winning audiences over with edgy jokes, bizarre facial expressions, and stories that spiraled into hilarious madness. He became especially popular on The Tonight Show, first under Jack Paar and later under Johnny Carson. And that is where one of television's most fascinating relationships truly began. On camera, Buddy and Johnny looked effortless together. Carson would lean back in his chair laughing helplessly, while Buddy wandered through outrageous stories filled with detours, punchlines, and complete unpredictability. Fans believed the two men were close friends. But Buddy later revealed the truth was far more complicated. According to Hackett, Johnny Carson was one of the most private men in show business. Once the cameras stopped rolling, the warmth vanished. Buddy explained that Carson carefully protected himself emotionally and kept nearly everyone at arm's length. You could sit beside Johnny dozens of times and still never really know him, and Buddy would know. He appeared on The Tonight Show an astonishing 78 times, placing him among the most frequent guests in the program's legendary history. Carson loved Buddy because he brought ratings, chaos, and genuine laughter, but there was also an invisible rule every comedian understood: never outshine the king. Buddy said Carson could become icy and distant if a guest pushed too hard or tried stealing control of the show. Carson ruled late-night television with enormous influence. A single cold reaction from him could quietly damage careers overnight. Buddy survived because he understood the balance. He could unleash wild stories and unpredictable humor while still allowing Carson to remain the center of the universe. One of Buddy's most famous Tonight Show moments came during his legendary duck joke appearance in 1987. The story became so outrageously funny that Carson and Ed McMahon nearly collapsed laughing behind the desk. Moments like that helped cement Buddy as one of the greatest late-night guests ever. But while Buddy respected Carson's talent, he also saw sadness behind the polished television image. He described Carson as a man who gave everything to the audience, while leaving very little emotional warmth for people around him. Behind the scenes, Carson's relationships with fellow stars were often tense and fragile. His feud with Joan Rivers became one of Hollywood's most famous betrayals after she accepted a competing late-night show. Carson never forgave her, Wayne Newton once reportedly stormed into Carson's office over insulting jokes made on television. Even comedy legends like Bob Hope and Jerry Lewis eventually found themselves on Carson's bad side. Buddy understood that Johnny Carson lived in two completely different worlds. On television, he was America's relaxed late-night neighbor. Off camera, he could be guarded, cold, and fiercely controlling. Still, Buddy never spoke about Carson with hatred. Instead, he spoke with the sharp understanding of someone who had spent decades navigating Hollywood's hidden machinery. Outside of television, Buddy built a beautiful life with his wife Sherry and their children. Together, they supported charities, rescued stray cats, and eventually created the Singita Animal Sanctuary in California. His son Sandy followed directly in his footsteps, becoming a comedian and performer himself. Buddy spent his later years mentoring younger comics and teaching his son everything he knew about timing, stage presence, and surviving the entertainment business. Even as health problems mounted during the 1990s, Buddy never lost his spark. Sadly, Buddy Hackett passed away in 2003 at the age of 78. But his legacy still glows brightly through classic television appearances, beloved Disney roles like Scuttle and The Little Mermaid, and the endless stories shared by comedians who learned from him. Buddy Hackett was more than a comedian. He was a survivor, a storyteller, and one of the few men who truly understood the strange loneliness hidden behind Johnny Carson's famous smile. And in the golden age of comedy, that made Buddy Hackett one of a kind. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe to Golden Age Gossip for more unforgettable Hollywood secrets, classic celebrity stories, and hidden truths from entertainment's golden era.